We are 43 days away from the Georgia game, and Dabo Swinney makes comments on the Georgia game and its implications. I'm going to dive into that in just a moment. Welcome to the show. I'm Brian. I'm glad you're here. If you have never subscribed, you've been watching for a while, or this is the first time you've ever seen the show, I hope you'll subscribe. It is the easiest way to support the channel, as well as the freest. Also, there's a join button below if you want to join on a monthly basis, $3 or $5. It's up to you. I do appreciate it. So today is Friday, July the 19th. We're 43 days away from the Clemson versus Georgia game. Tomorrow, we will be exactly 6 weeks away from the 12 o'clock kickoff in Atlanta against the Bulldogs. It's a big game for Clemson. Now, it is a noticeable game for the Bulldogs, but it is not what it would, well, in the past normally would have been for the Bulldogs versus Clemson. But obviously, the Bulldogs, they are the favorite to win the national championship this year. They are what? I haven't looked at the line today, but last I saw it was about 13.5 point favorite. That was the last time I saw the line on the game. So, what does Swinney say about it? Let's dive right in. Earlier this week, he was talking to the media about the Georgia game. And to quote him, now this is on Clemson Tigers on SI. I believe this was written by a guy named Evan Massey. I always want to give, credit where credit's due. I don't know Evan, but this was an article that he penned. So to quote Swinney, this is just a situation where you have to be playoff ready. Game one, play one. It is what it is, but it is exciting. It is a great opportunity for both teams. This is a big-time football game right out of the gate with two really, really good programs. He goes on to say, if you win it, it does not tell you much either. Keep reading, Brian. You still have to go win the next game. This is true. Honestly, that is the way it is. I just do not look at it that way. It is a huge game. This is the best team in the country to me in the last 3 years. I do not think there is any question about that, and we are coming right out of the gate playing a team like that. So, yeah, you find out where you are in the moment for sure, but you can't let that moment define the rest of the season, even if you win it. End quote. All right, have you ever heard of the statement, two things can be true at one time? It's insightful and confusing, that statement, which proves to be two things can be true at one time. This comment perfectly falls in line with two things can be true at one time. So let's go ahead and get the ABCs out of the way. All right. If Clemson were to beat Georgia in 43 days, yes, Clemson would have to play the rest of their schedule. They couldn't hang up their helmets and go, boys, we did it. We did it, and we don't have to play anymore. This is obvious. Clemson would have to play the rest of their schedule. They couldn't go out and live off of what they did in week one and just say, we don't even have to try anymore. The coaches go, hey, we don't even have to scheme anymore. We know that's not true. Anyone with just a little bit of logic, doesn't even deal with football, just logic, you know this is true. But what's the other side of that? How do I evaluate this comment by Coach Swinney? Well, first off, when you're evaluating comments, you have to step back. And I would challenge you to do this, not just with Coach Swinney. I'm talking about with anything. Do it to me. I don't care. You have to take the comment versus what's going on currently. What's going on currently in Clemson football? A lot of Clemson fans are under complete and total duress. Okay, not duress. We don't know what's going to happen this season. Well, that goes for any season. Okay, listen, Sherlock. If you had this Trevor Lawrence team about to go into Atlanta, how would you feel versus you feel right now? That's what I thought. Okay, you can be hopeful. Go ahead. Do that. Let's talk reality. If Deshaun Watson and that offense that won in 16, or even the team in 15 that made it to the national championship and lost to Alabama, or even the Kelly Bryant team was going out and playing this Georgia team, you'd feel better right now than you do right now about the current team. So there's your baseline. But what's going on right now? We don't know what's going to transpire with the offense. There's a few good players there. Phil Maffa definitely being the one that we all focus on. And we can talk about wide receivers, whether they're people who were returning, whether it's a Tyler Brown who came out of nowhere last year, or if we're talking about TJ Moore and Bryant Wesco. Sure. We could talk about these possibilities, but folks, there's a bunch of question marks on the offensive side of the football, and that's why there's a hesitation to say that Clemson will beat Georgia. That's the reason I've put my cards on the table. I've told you, yes, is there a chance? Yes, there's a chance. It doesn't look good. I've been honest with you about this. I hope Clemson pulls the upset, but pause there. Will you pause there for a second? Did you hear what I said? This would be considered an upset if the Clemson Tigers beat the Georgia Bulldogs. Not because it's in Atlanta in a basic home game. It's because Clemson has declined. Well, I'd rather have no other coach in the world than the guy that gave us 2 national championships. Great. You let that be your life song. But let me tell you this, Georgia doesn't care who's coaching on the other side. They don't care about 16. They don't care about 18. And they definitely don't care about graduation rate. So that's who will be playing Clemson. And that's the Clemson team that will be playing Georgia. What's the other side of this? What's going on in the moment? I've rambled. Here it is. Point blank. Swinney is setting up everyone not to fall apart if Clemson not only loses to Georgia, but gets popped by Georgia. Popped right in the mouth. Because he will be able to walk up to the post-game conference podium and say, we have 11 games left. And he would be right. I told you that even if we won this game, we would have to win the rest of the season. You're right. That's 100% true. 100% true. But this is not an angle of a coach tempering his fan base that we can win against Georgia, but we still have to play the rest of the season. So let's keep the excitement, but let's temper the expectations. No. It is setting up the Clemson fan base to know that in the very moment that Georgia most likely will not only beat Clemson, but will beat Clemson by a couple of touchdowns plus, well, we still have a whole season ahead of us. And we just started off with the toughest team we'll play in the regular season. And that's true. That's true that you start off with the toughest team on your schedule. You start off with them. But you have to play the rest of the games afterwards, no matter what, win or lose. This is true. 2 things can be true at once. We still have a whole other season, basically. We have the whole season after this game. But the angle, and if you're paying attention, the angle to this statement is, I'm prepping you. I am prepping you to not get all mad and a bunch of Tylers from Spartanburg calls in and then guys like me get on YouTube and tell every one of you, hey guys, we're not as good as we thought, which I've been telling you that. The defense is going to be solid. They're going to be young, but they're going to be solid, but they're going to get tired. And that's how I think Georgia wins the game. And the offense, who knows? But I've told you this. But everybody's going to be angry. And he's going to be able to walk back to this statement 6 weeks plus before the game and go, hey, I told you we have a whole season ahead of us. We have Appalachian State coming up. We have NC State. We have Stanford. We have Florida State. And guys, you got to remember, the playoff is triple the size now. We went from 4 teams to 12 teams, and we stand a good chance if we win out. But folks, here's what I'll challenge you, and then I'm going to shut up. How many times have we seen a team play a really good team the very first game, and they lose the game? Like the other team dominates them. But then the rest of the season, they go on and actually do pretty well. And everybody's like, see, they just had some rust at the beginning. And then they get into a big bowl game, and then they play another really good team in the bowl game, and then they get smacked around again. How many times have we seen that happen? I've been watching college football for 30 years. I've seen that happen a lot. You know why? Because in the very first game, you played the best team on your schedule, and you got kicked in the crotch. And you played the rest of the season, did pretty good, but the rest of the season was not near the talent level, sorry, Florida State, as Georgia. And then it gives this false sense of improvement. And then you play someone who is around about the same talent level as the first team you play, and you get kicked in the crotch again. And everybody is standing there going, what happened? What happened? I tell you exactly what happened. You played another good team, and they dominated you. It's an interesting comment. Now, his job is to, and this to be fair to Coach Swinney, his job is not to be gloom, despair, and agony on me. He is to be the face of the team, to guide the team, make cast the overall vision and structure, strategy, goals, focus for the team, and to address us fans and give us expectations, set our expectations. And used to the expectations was 10 wins in an ACC championship. That's not the expectation for Clemson. That's a stepping stone to being a contender, a legitimate contender for the national championship with the ultimate goal to win the national championship. Now, Clemson has declined to the place to where we're setting the expectation right off the bat that when we play the best team in the country, that it would be an upset if we won. He didn't say that, by the way, to be fair to him. I'm saying that. But if we lose this game, we still have a whole season to look forward to that we could play and win. That's where we have declined to. We fell backwards. So anyway, leave your comments below. I'm going to get a comment section real quick. Say hello to a bunch of people. I got Roger Parks in here. Roger is a member. You see that little symbol beside his name. Hey, Roger, it's good to see you. He supports the channel. Got Jaden Butler in here. Jaden Butler said, what's the deal with Virginia Tech? Some people are saying they're a sleeper team. Maybe so. I don't know. I don't know. You never know with Virginia Tech. I think this year will be a big year for them as far as like seeing where the trajectory of their team is going. Maybe next year, and then after that, I don't know with their coach. Cohen Pope says he's praying for a miracle. Steve Bowe, he's in here saying, hey, from Indian land. We have Tim Russell, according to the College Football 25 simulation, Clemson loses 10-3. Sounds like the sim pulled the score from the previous meeting. Possibly so. Roger Parks makes a great point. Defense will keep it respectable. The only way you see the defense give up, in my opinion, one of the only ways that you'll see the defense begin to lay down is just from fatigue. But they will be the reason we stick in the game if we stay in the game. Still gambled, to be fair. Oregon lost 49-3 in 2022, week 1 against Georgia, and they had a pretty solid year. I do agree with that, but did they ever play another team that was as good as Georgia? For me personally, I watched that game. That was also Dan Lanning's very first game. I don't know. I don't know. I could be wrong. Still gamble. I hope you're right and that I'm wrong. I say that all the time, and a lot of people go, yeah, I bet so. No, really. It'd be nice. The only sad thing about it is it's going to really mess up our reality of what actually has to be done with Clemson football to get them back to this place to where beating Georgia would not be an upset, even if they were number one. It would be like two main contenders are duking it out. Tim Russell, Clemson will not win out after a loss to Georgia. 10-2 would be progress, yet no ACC championship game and playoff. I'm leaning more towards that, 9-3, 10-2, somewhere in there. Thomas Mills, good to hear from you. Brian's good to hear from you. Everybody, you take care of yourself. Leave your comments below. If you haven't subscribed, listen, it's cheap. It's as cheap as it gets. It's free. The only thing it'll take is you clicking your thumb or popping your thumb on a subscribe button. And if you want to support on a monthly basis, remember, I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy in his bonus room talking about his favorite team. I hope you will just hit the join button, $3 or $5 per month. And I do appreciate it. As always, go Tigers.